We give you a news headline, and you will guess the missing word or phrase. When you know the answer, just blurt it out, and if correct, keep track of your winning points in your head, with a pen, or with a counter. Quiz questions are worth 1 point. However, the 5th and 10th questions are genius-level questions, are extremely difficult, and as such are worth 3 points each. So if you get any of these quiz questions correct, consider yourself very clever indeed. As a reward, we have a bonus comedy clip for your enjoyment after the final question. It seems to be unanimous in American legal circles. The current President of the United States will likely go to jail, and perhaps, for the rest of his natural life. And now, the first question of our quiz. When President Donald Trump loses on November 3rd, he'll be blank of a large number of serious crimes, and spend the rest of his life in jail. The answer is convicted. When Trump is defeated and extracted from the Oval Office, much of his presidential shield will disintegrate. He could try to pardon himself on the way out the door for all crimes he's ever committed. But no one knows whether presidents can do this, since none have ever tried in any case. It would only apply to violations of the federal code, and it is unlikely. Tax fraud seems to be a blank tradition for Trump. The answer is family. There's the issue of Trump's peculiar $50 million loan to himself, and whether Trump wrote off hush money payments as business expenses, and much more that's already in the public domain. A thorough state or federal investigation would almost certainly uncover even more dicey tax behavior. The molehill is actually a mountain of unknown tax crimes. Cyrus Vance Jr., the blank for Manhattan, is currently investigating what his office calls possibly extensive and protracted criminal conduct at the Trump Organization. Beyond Trump's taxes. The answer is district attorney. Vance appears to be probing whether Trump provided insurers and banks with false statements about his financial position in order to receive lower premiums and interest rates on loans. In certain circumstances, this would be illegal. Campaign finance law is complex and confusing in the best of times, but especially when it involves paying off your blank s to keep quiet, allegedly. The answer is mistress. The $130,000 received by Stormy Daniels almost certainly counts as a contribution to Trump's campaign. Trump famously does business around the world, including in countries where real estate is an even more sleazy business than in the US, and blanks are routinely expected and paid. The answer is bribe. However, thanks to the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, it is illegal for Americans to participate in this, which leads to complaints from U.S. businesspeople that they are at a disadvantage. Glenn Kirshner, a former federal prosecutor, argues that Trump can and should be prosecuted for blank homicide for his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. The answer is negligent. Kirshner is a serious person who served in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia for 24 years, eventually becoming chief of the homicide section. Mueller says, a president does not have blank after he leaves office, and we conducted a thorough factual investigation in order to preserve the evidence when memories were fresh and documentary materials were available. The answer is immunity. After Mueller's report was released, over 1,000 former federal prosecutors stated that if Trump were not president, his conduct as described by Mueller would result in multiple felony charges for obstruction of justice. Trump could be impeached, again. While impeachment is a political rather than a criminal process, if Trump were successfully convicted in the criminal system, it would make it far easier for him to be impeached again. The answer is justice. There's nothing in the U.S. Constitution that says presidents can't be impeached after leaving office. This would not be a pointless exercise in revenge with Trump but a wise prophylactic precaution. The punishment prescribed by the Constitution for impeachment and conviction includes disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust or profit under the United States. In other words, an impeached and convicted Trump could never run for president again. Trump apparently has committed to defraud the United States, a serious crime. The answer is conspiracy. This occurs when individuals agree to obstruct the work of a federal agency. If members of the Trump administration sabotage the U.S. Postal Service to influence the outcome of the 2020 election, this charge could be considered for anyone who conspired to achieve the illegal objective, even those who took no personal action. This way, the law can reach people who give illegal orders as well as those who carry them out. Manhattan District Attorney Vance Jr. has stated that the subpoenas he served to obtain Trump's tax and financial records are part of an investigation into possible crimes committed before Trump became president. The answer is Cyrus. Cohen testified before Congress that Trump would alter statements of his wealth and assets to suit his purposes. When seeking a loan to buy the Buffalo Bills, for example, Trump overstated his net worth to boost the appearance of his creditworthiness, Cohen said. On his tax returns, according to Cohen, Trump would understate the value of his assets to lower his tax bill. If I were Donald J. Trump, I wouldn't be looking forward to a leisurely retirement at Mar-a-Lago. No, instead I would be worried about the way federal inmates treat child molesters and pedophiles. Good luck, Mr. President. Congratulations. You made it. As a reward, here is your comedy clip of the day.
A guy is sitting at the doctor's office. The doctor walks in and says, "I have some bad news. I'm afraid you're going to have to stop masturbating." "I don't understand, doc," the patient says. "Why?" "Because," the doctor says, "I'm trying to examine you." An old woman walked into a dentist's office, took off all her clothes, and spread her legs. The dentist said, "I think you have the wrong room. You put in my husband's teeth last week," she replied. "Now you have to remove them." When is it okay to beat up a dwarf? When he's standing next to your girlfriend and telling her that her hair smells nice. What do you call a cheap circumcision? A ripoff. What's worse than waking up at a party and finding a penis drawn on your face? Finding out it was traced. What's the difference between a tire and 365 used condoms? One's a good year. The other's a great year. How does a woman scare a gynecologist? By becoming a ventriloquist.
Gets lonely out here on my deserted island. Thank crikey I have my AI trivia game to play every morning. Make it a habit and subscribe now, and you too can start your day with 10 minutes of great fun. And you just might learn something. See you again tomorrow.